So I'll keep the bio portion of this relatively brief for everybody. When I have come to these type of things for a long time, and you used to always bother me when the entrepreneur would talk for 30 minutes about how great they are and then not give me any actionable stuff that I can go use for my own business. So I will try and limit it down to almost exclusively actionable stuff that you guys can all go use to support your businesses. So super quick bio. Multi-time entrepreneur. Trifecta is actually my fifth business. I sound like we did have some SaaS founders. I come from the kind of the San Francisco software as a service venture capital ecosystem. Did 10 years in San Francisco before going to Los Angeles for about 6 years while my wife finished her medical school, and then moved back up to Sacramento about 4 years ago, mainly because this is where I grew up. This is the community I wanted to invest a lot of time into. Super fast background on Trifecta. I haven't got the shirt here today for the talk. We are the largest organic meal delivery service in the United States now. We've got what we call a full impact ARR, or full impact annual run rate, of about $155 million a year right now. That increases anywhere between 2 and 10% a month. And it's almost entirely driven off of inbound marketing. The thing that led me to marketing was early career, had been an entrepreneur myself, but out of college decided I wanted to get into the kind of software sales ecosystem. That's where friends of mine were, making six figures right out of college. So as I dove into that, went down a path that led me to how can I sell to people faster and faster? Because you can only do a certain amount of meetings in a day, especially if you're a B2B business, et cetera. And that's ultimately what led me to marketing. When I talk about inbound marketing, what I mean is by creating a marketing system that is going to bring people from somewhere on the internet to your website. That tends to be the area that entrepreneurs, I find, especially early stage entrepreneurs, struggle the most. Is they go through the motions of setting up a website and getting a Facebook and a YouTube, and they can't seem to connect the dots of how do I get people from various places on the internet to my website in significant enough numbers for them to actually what we call convert or become customers, so that I'm actually able to build a business. And what I'm going to try and explain to you guys here today is that it's actually just really building out a system of steps that will take people from the various places that they already are on the internet, whether that's them being on Google and searching, or Facebook and looking at their friends' pictures, Instagram, YouTube, you name it, and getting those people from those channels to your website. That is a big piece of the puzzle by itself. I've also worked with a huge number of celebrities and celebrity athletes that are really good at that stage of the puzzle, and they struggle with, okay, now that I got people to my website, how do I actually turn them into a customer without me having an actual conversation with them? So that's the majority of the system I'm going to go through with you guys today, is getting people to your website in the first place. And then when they come to the website, the specific questions that they need to go through and steps they need to go through in order for them to actually convert and become a customer. An obvious big value add at the end of that equation is, once they're a customer, them automatically converting again and again and again. So we have, some people like Ken on the call with SAC Angels, who would quickly tell you that having a subscription model is the most important factor when it comes to actually getting people to reconvert. So that's why software as a service is so incredibly popular, is once people come to your website and convert, they convert again and again and again. So for today, we're going to start with, and I'll do some screen sharing here to kind of explain the model. And as Laura mentioned in the chat, I'm going to send you guys some hopefully useful takeaways after this. You know, I have an email that I put together that StartupSac will circulate to everybody that really walks you through how to do inbound marketing step by step. So after I'm done with the dog and pony show here, everybody will really have some takeaways that they can actually, you know, fully understand as we go through this. So we will jump to screen share here and get this. Here's the agenda, and I will jump to a particular article on digitalmarketer.com that I've read a lot of things, probably 1,500 books maybe on business, thousands and thousands of articles. I used to write for Entrepreneur Magazine. This single article right here was the most profound article I had ever read in terms of overall understanding digital marketing. I've shared it at other StartupSac conversations, and it's got some great visuals that I'm going to use for this talk. So we'll zoom forward. You know, they go through, hey, this is the system that Starbucks, McDonald's, you know, Trifecta, everybody else uses. And Ryan Deiss, who's the CEO of Digital Marketer, has coined his explanation of this concept as the customer value optimization model. So since we're starting out with getting people from a traffic source on the internet, we're going to look at some common traffic sources here. We've got Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, email marketing, SEO, blogging, social media, and Google AdWords. These are probably names most of you guys have heard of almost ad nauseum at this point. They drive a vast majority of all traffic to e-commerce websites on the internet. If you have a company at this point, especially getting through COVID, I would highly encourage you to develop it into at least a lead generation source for your business. I'm in another group outside of Startup Sacramento called EO, that just stands for Entrepreneurs Organization. I've been in various different ones, Vistage, etc. And there were several business owners in the group that have, you know, ranging from 20 to $100 million a year businesses. And once COVID hit, the first thing they did was they texted me and said, hey, I know you've talked a lot about selling things on the internet. I really need to figure out how to do that right away. So, you know, all of us, I think, have experienced, you know, for some of us, multi-months of shutdown because of COVID. So it further emphasizes the reason to really have a digital strategy in place for your business. So going through this, step one that we have right here is to choose a traffic source. Step one of that is picking, in my opinion, picking a single traffic source or maybe two traffic sources at most. A mistake I made early on in really trying to pivot to e-commerce from software as a service was I tried to be everywhere on the internet. I set up a Pinterest and a YouTube and a million different things, when in reality, I should have chosen one or two individual traffic sources that I could focus my energy on. So in the beginning, for most people on this call, I would suggest that the area you're going to get the most value short term are going to be Facebook marketing and email marketing. Facebook, you can control the flow of traffic just by giving money to Facebook. They will send you traffic, very specific traffic. And then with email marketing, you now control the people that have come to your website. So, and we'll dive deeper into this subject in a second here. But the first step is to get people from a traffic source to your website, offer them a lead magnet. So I'm going to use Trifecta as the example on this. I've got a I've got our website pulled up here, and I'll go to, let's just jump to the article section of our website, and you can see, hey, we've got recipes and fitness articles and a whole bunch of other stuff. If we go into one of these articles, you're going to notice, boom, right here on the right-hand side. In my case, we talk about, weight loss, muscle building, fat loss, etc. So this is a ebook that we have written that's a focused toolkit on meal prep for fat loss. We valued it at $39, but of course we're giving it away for free if people give us their first name and their email. So what we're doing here is we're taking traffic and converting it to an email list. This is one of the single biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make, is they will get traffic to come to their website, and then they're not capturing that traffic so they can continue to market to those people again and again. The people that are going to take the time to click an ad on Facebook or Google or somewhere else and actually come to your website are going to be some of your most qualified potential customers, your most qualified leads. You want to get their email really badly. It allows you to continue to market to them again and again and again without paying Mark Zuckerberg anymore. I'm sure everybody on this call doesn't have an unlimited marketing budget, myself included. And the more people we can get on our email list, the more powerful we become as a marketing engine. Trifecta, I'll just use us as an example again. We've gotten about 2 million people to subscribe to our email list. And that allows us to keep the cost of our advertising down. We spend about $750,000 a month on advertising, mostly on Facebook ads. And we're able to drive about 1 million visitors a month to the website and capture about 100,000 of those visitors' emails every month. So that's a hugely powerful tool for me to be able to use as a business to market to these people again and again without having to go back to the well, which is Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook or Instagram or Google, and hand over cash. Now, there are other strategies that I'll talk about on this call where you can organically build up an audience if you have literally no marketing budget, which is pretty much what we started with. We started with an almost entirely organic audience. Doing things like following and unfollowing people on Instagram and, paying influencers to post about us. But if you guys took one thing away from this call, it would be to absolutely make sure you offer a lead magnet on your website. This is like the single biggest error I see is people are not building an email list. Your email list is hugely important and powerful. From there, digital marketer would advise you offer like an inexpensive product like a tripwire, what they call a tripwire, which is if say we, for Trifecta, we have a smartphone app that you can download and buy a premium version for like $5. So it's a very inexpensive purchase. The reason that's important is there's a psychological transaction that's now happening. I'm becoming a much more trusted vendor because people have purchased something, they've opened up their wallet and, taken out their credit card and actually bought something from me. That is the whole value of a tripwire. It's not necessary from the get-go, but as your business gets bigger and bigger, it's an important thing to potentially offer. Next is to offer a core product. Now, this is amazingly an area that a lot of people struggle as well. If you don't have a way for people to convert to actually buy your stuff on your website directly, you're going to be stuck just getting their email and picking up the phone and calling them or putting them on an email list. So finding a way to actually convert people directly on your website is another big miss I see from a lot of entrepreneurs that it's very easy to do if you have a software as a service company. It gets harder to do if, let's say you have an HR, business advisory company, for example, and you advise other businesses on HR. Usually you're used to going through a sales cycle, and it sometimes is more complex to actually convert people on the website. So maybe instead of right away converting them, you have them book an appointment in your calendar. And then as the business becomes bigger and bigger, they can eventually, and the website becomes more robust, they can eventually just directly buy your services on your website. So making sure you're offering a core product, and then, at that point, you should have converted them, and you want to create a return path, which is hopefully creating a subscriber model. So I'll send you guys all this article. I don't have to go like super deep into it. But understanding some of these main core concepts is one of the most important things I can communicate to everybody on this call, is making sure you've chosen a traffic source. You're filtering people to a lead magnet, which is going to be some sort of landing page that actually collects people's emails. And I swear to God, if you just put an email bar at the bottom of your website and you put join my newsletter, I will find you from this Zoom call. Please give people something of value. That is the point of a lead magnet, is you are giving them an object, whether it's an ebook or a video series or a swipe file, a blog post they can use. You are a subject matter expert in whatever business you are starting. Give them value in that area in exchange for their email. Nobody wants to just join an email list for free. We all get too many emails. So absolutely make sure you're giving them something of value to get their email. And then from there, you can nurture them through the emails to the point where they actually want to buy your core product. So from there, I'm going to jump to the value of different traffic sources. So we're going to get into some slightly more advanced topics here. So I'm going to jump to the Trifecta pitch deck here. So this is what I, use now to, try and sell investors on investing in Trifecta. You can kind of see some high level metrics like, our national footprint of customers and, our customer acquisition costs and all of that type of stuff, all very important. One of the main things we communicate in our pitch deck is this. This was my attempt to explain digital marketing on like an actual canvas, ranked by the value of the traffic source. So where I told all of you guys to start was on the really shitty end of the spectrum, which is way up here in paid ads. This means to get traffic, you have to give people money. That's like the worst place you can possibly be. But it's also the easiest place to start. You can guaranteed get traffic very quickly when you're trying to launch your business that way. You can get followers very quickly, various other things. As you expand your digital marketing, you want to be moving down this continuum towards SEO. Now, a lot of you may already be familiar with SEO. All SEO means is optimizing content on your website so that Google will find it. It stands for search engine optimization, but Google pretty much has a monopoly in the search engine world. So you're really optimizing content for Google to find it. The reason this is the most valuable source of traffic that you can build over time as a business owner is because it's free. Google is going to send people to your website by the thousands, eventually tens of thousands, if you're able to do this correctly. And I'm going to show you guys some sneak peek stuff into the back end of the Trifecta website. So this is a tool we use called Sem Rush. And I don't know how much of this I'm blocking with my my little menu bar here. I'll move this over to this side. But you can see this is desktop traffic coming to our domain, trifectanutrition.com. And on the desktop, Sem Rush, which is this piece of software we're looking at, thinks we're getting about 290,000 monthly uniques coming from organic traffic, which is worth $437,000 worth of free traffic per month for me. And you can see we've, especially recently as we really kind of improved our SEO, we've been able to scale this up over time. You can also see keywords that we're optimizing for, like keto macros. If you search for keto macros on Google, Trifecta is going to come up as the #1 thing you find on Google. Same for, what does GMO stand for? Keto cheat day, simple meal plan to lose weight. A lot of things that we really want to rank #1 for. And we're tracking a whole bunch of different keywords in this software platform for us to really be able to scale up our traffic. If I jump over to mobile, which is where most of us should be focusing our efforts today, you'll see something, very similar. You look at mobile, we've got some pretty sustained growth recently. We're getting about another $413,000 worth of traffic on mobile, 250,000 monthly uniques. So we started paying for traffic early on, and then over time, we really tried to build up our articles database so that we are, of these keywords we're optimizing for, so we're able to really drive more traffic overall to the website. So this is kind of a phase 2 of really building out your inbound marketing, is making sure you're optimizing for what are called low customer acquisition cost channels. So all customer acquisition cost means is how much does it cost to acquire a customer? But that's going to be one of the most common metrics you guys hear investors say, is that, especially for the software folks that are running software as a service, any B2B folks, B2G folks, consumer folks, pretty much everybody on this call, one of the most important metrics you're going to track is, and I'll zoom up so you guys can see ours, since we're going behind the scenes here. Wait, where's my customer acquisition cost? So if we've got a combined customer acquisition cost of about $102, and our average customer is worth $1,153, we're making about $382 in gross profit per customer, and our average customer value to customer acquisition cost is 11.3x. So we're making about 11 times what it spends for us to acquire a customer. There are many companies in my industry where this number's upside down. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Blue Apron, where Blue Apron went and did their SEC filing to get listed on the New York Stock Exchange after they were spending all their venture capital. And it was actually costing them more to acquire a customer than they were making from that customer in gross profit. And investors looked at that and said, your business is broken. So making sure you're maintaining good metrics when it comes to acquiring customers is going to be critical as you guys scale the business. But for now, with most of you being at the stage where you're probably focused on getting customers in the first place, the most important thing right from day one is going to be going to this article, the customer value optimization article, reading it like 5 times until you've really kind of comprehended all the steps that you need to go through, like I did when I was first getting into digital marketing. And then, from there, building out a traffic source, a lead magnet, and a core product so you can actually start converting people on your website. Now, additional tips I'm going to throw out before you see how I'm doing on time. I think I'm doing pretty good on time. For some of you, setting up a website can seem very daunting, or a more sophisticated website like Trifecta has. For that, I would suggest using something like WordPress with maybe an Aveda theme or an Elementor theme. You don't need to be able to code. It's all plug and play. If you follow YouTube videos or the guidelines, you can probably set up a reasonably good website within a couple days. I mean, it's very fast for someone who is not a developer at all. And then over time, you're going to continue to iterate on your website again and again and again until you've really kind of built out a few different lead magnets and really begun to scale the business. So I want to make sure I make time for a lot of Q&A. So let me see how I'm doing overall on time.
So we were going to go to about 5:20 if you got a couple more minutes, and then maybe wrap it up. Does that work?
Sure.
Or if you're ready now,
Absolutely.
if you're ready, either way.
Well, I guess because I think we've already got a lot of different chats in the quick questions. So yeah, I'd love to just jump to the Q&A. I mean, I could talk about all of this stuff until until the sun goes down and then some. But, want to, make sure that everybody at least understands the core concept to this. Because once you have the most important thing is once you have the system up and running, that's when business gets really fun. That's when you're like, okay, what do we need to do to get more traffic to the website? Let's tweak that lever. Okay, when people come to the website, what do we need to do to convert more of them to emails? Let's tweak that lever. Now that we have emails, how do we craft our emails a little bit differently so that they convert more people? Let's tweak that lever. And each time you're just kind of improving the funnel more and more and more and more until it's converting people faster and faster and faster. And you get to a point where you're converting, I'll screen share again for this so you guys can see our metrics. We have a dashboard that we use that shows me, everything that's going on with our conversions for the day. So today we've converted 220 new subscribers. So far this month, we've converted 6,479 new subscriptions. We average about 251 subscribers a day. In the last 7 days, we've had 216,000 unique visitors come to the website. I can look at this dashboard at any time, doesn't matter if I'm on vacation or not, and be able to tell the health of the business. This graph is showing, new subscriptions by day. The dotted line is year over year, showing this year compared to last year, et cetera. You guys don't need to have the same metrics tracking as me. But the point of the story is, even if you're in a B2B business, I'd like to consider myself a reasonably good salesperson. There's no way I could sell 220 people in a day. It's just impossible. For me to sell 6,475 people this month, mathematically, if I had, let's say, I've got a team of salespeople, and they all close a deal every business day for the entire month, I'd need 323 salespeople closing a deal every single day, every single working day of the month, to be able to convert this quickly. That is why so much of business is transitioning from kind of one-on-one sales interactions to converting people directly on the internet. It's really kind of a huge seismic shift in business, and COVID has obviously, kind of further accelerated that process. I can also see metrics like, here's my Facebook spend for today, or my Facebook and Google spend for today. So we spent about $12,700 today, which is actually pretty low. My return on ad spend, same day in 30 days, I can even see how many people I'm converting per hour compared to my 7-day average. So, having a lot of this data in real time, I think is very useful as you build the business. Because once you've started converting people, you can start hiring people because you have money flow coming into the business. You can start presenting to investors because you have a working business model. All of the good things start to happen once you get this system in place. Okay, so let's dive into the QA. You said 5:20, right, Jeff? So I'm a couple minutes over.
So that's really good timing. Yeah. So
okay, perfect. So
thank you.
Yeah, so it's one of the most recent questions, and I know it's going to be a big one on this call, so I want to address it first. So one of the ones I see on here is any specific suggestions for a B2B business. So I'm going to use a business that I'm an investor and advisor in. It's a local company here in Sacramento called BizHaven, and they are, boom, you can see. Oh, wait, I'm not screen sharing anymore. So I'll jump back to the screen share so you guys can see this as an example. So I just popped over to their website, and you can see they've got a tripwire right here, their HR hotline, $100 a month, which they're trying to do via COVID to attract, new people. They also have, direct sign up. Hey, let's say I've got 100 plus people at my company. I click sign up, it's going to take me to, my industry, let's just say food and beverage, what's my zip code? What are they doing? They're collecting a whole bunch of information about me. I can look at different services that they offer. This is a great example of an overall B2B business website. Obviously, I've helped them out, to get some of this set up. But it's a great way for them to actually be able to capture leads. You can get a free COVID-19 employer Q&A. What's happening right here? This is a lead magnet. To get my free COVID-19 employer Q&A, I have to give them my name and my email, at which point they can continue to market to me again and again. So I really want this free reference sheet of 10 questions because I'm an employer. I know my employees have a lot of questions about COVID. This may be a very valuable piece of information that I don't want to go out and do a bunch of research on, and I can just give them my email and ultimately convert. So there are a lot of different ways to attract people with B2B lead magnets. I think it's something you can Google quite a bit, and even for your specific industry, you can Google it, and there will be lots of different examples of lead magnets you can build. A lead magnet can be as simple as writing an ebook, which is you typing on a Word document, maybe working with one of your graphic designer friends to sexy it up a little bit so it's like a little bit more attractive of a PDF, and then boom, you offer it as a lead magnet on your website. People give you their email, you email them whatever the lead magnet was, and then you put them in one of your email drip automations, so that you're slowly sending them emails day after day to ultimately convert them. So hopefully that gives people an idea on the B2B side of the fence. It really doesn't matter what industry you're in from a B2B standpoint. It could be, consulting, recruiting, IT services, you name it. There's definitely a way for you to build a lead magnet. What software do we use for our email automation? We started with MailChimp because it's free initially, and now we use HubSpot, which has much more sophisticated email automation capability. And HubSpot actually runs the entire front end of our website. So when we were looking at the Trifecta website right there, we were actually looking at a HubSpot hosted website.
Greg, there was a question earlier about buying mailing lists. Do you have an opinion on that?
I absolutely do, and Mother of God, do not do it. That is a very, very quick way to get your domain flagged for spam. And what I mean by that is when you're sending out these thousands of emails, Google is watching how many people unsubscribe from your email list. Gmail is such a big mail provider. The last thing you want is for Google to auto-categorize you into promotions or spam. At that point, your open rate is going to significantly drop. So it's really important to make sure that you are that you're building your email list organically. If you have 10 people on your email list, that's great. That's 10 people that are actively engaged in your business and are interested in your services. Give them additional value until you can convert them. Pretty soon you'll have 20, 50, 100, 500, 1,000, and it will continue to build from there. Okay, let's go down.
Quickest way to get for people with questions is to go and raise your virtual hand there, because it's really easy to miss the questions in the chat.
So I see the email question. That's buying an e-blast from the Sacramento Bee for $400, and that blast goes out to 30,000 people. That is actually not a bad idea. So if you are trying to target people in the Sacramento area, that's different than buying a list and emailing them yourself. Sacramento Bee has earned those emails, so you can pay them to send an email out to get people to your website. That's actually one of the most cost-effective ways to get people to your website. So I'll use Trifecta as an example again. Let's say we want to target people that eat gluten-free. We can go to like celiac.org and celiac.com and buy email blasts from them, and that will send thousands of gluten-free people to our website, at which point those are very targeted people that we have a high probability of converting. So, buying lists, not necessarily a good idea, but buying email blasts from people who have existing lists, a very good idea.
Hey, Greg, we have some raised hands now. So
Sure.
is it Renetta or Renita? You can go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, hello. Hey, I'm Renata. So yeah, my question is about local marketing and digital marketing versus, more like nationwide. I'm starting my business, like probably Greg, you started earlier, locally and then expanding gradually rather than just blast everywhere. And I wonder if you have any advice. Well, the SAC-B idea is great, it's very local. Other ideas that can work on a low budget.
Yes. So I actually get this question more than you guys would think. I think there are some easy local things you can do, like the Sacramento Bee. You can also target locally on Facebook ads very easily to maybe 20 miles outside of the Sacramento metro area. So that's an easy local thing you can do. The other thing I would suggest is for the free things like SEO, people in Sacramento are Googling the same stuff people everywhere else are Googling. So really targeting what are called longer tail keywords. So, we'll use BizHaven as the example again. Let's say I'm searching for, maybe they're not going to be able to win at HR business consulting, but they can probably win on Google at HR business consulting in Sacramento, which is probably a keyword string that business owners in Sacramento are searching for. So really picking more localized keyword terms like that maybe include a local major metro like that, and then building out your SEO utilizing those local keywords. So those would be easy suggestions. Facebook's obviously the easiest because you can just say, hey, only target people in Sacramento. Sacramento Bee is another kind of easy give me. And then, if you are creating content, creating that content with Sacramento targeted keywords in mind, I think is a great third step as well. But I would highly encourage you. I think a big mistake local business owners make is they go, oh, well, I just want to reach people locally, so I'm not going to worry about doing anything on the internet. And what I would say is everybody in Sacramento all has a smartphone. They're all spending the same amount of time on the internet as everybody else. You're still going to be able to reach people in Sacramento by being on Google and Facebook and YouTube and all the same places.
So,
great question, though.
Mirzad?
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Greg, for doing this. I mean, the knowledge you're dropping is amazing. And I just basically want to know, how did you work through your creative process in the beginning stages? Did your vision change or adapt as you got feedback while you were working through? And also your business model, did that stay the same or did that also adapt?
Oh, I mean, everything always adapts. Yeah, the market changes, technologies change. You guys are all going to go out. I'm essentially creating a bunch of competitors right now by giving all of you guys this information because you guys are all going to go out and use these same tactics. So, most of you are probably not selling food at a national level, but ultimately we're all going to compete for keywords and Facebook ad bidding and all of that. So initially our website was not very good. It was ugly. I think we converted like 8 people our first month of taking it live. But that didn't matter. We were making progress. We converted 8 people, and the next month, I think we converted 30 people, and the month after that, 120 people, and blah, 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 blah. And now we're converting, many, many thousands every month. So it's really constantly iterating in all of these areas. Business is not won by, coming up with a great idea. One of my favorite guys, Gary Vaynerchuk, who we fed for a long time, said it's not the idea that's sexy, it's execution that's sexy. It's sending those emails late at night. It's, making sure you're constantly improving the website and the customer experience, constantly improving the product, all kinds of stuff like that. I literally, we're on video call, so I can show you guys. My office is filled with different green packaging solutions that we're looking at. Over here, I've got biodegradable fiber trays that we're about to release, all kinds of different stuff that are just different things that we are, constantly trying to iterate and improve the product and what we're releasing. So yes, the faster you can fail, the faster you can learn, and the faster you can improve. And your customers are going to be one of the best ways to get that feedback. And you'll notice when you're going through this process of marketing on the internet, you're going to get some Facebook ads up, and all of a sudden you're going to drive a bunch of traffic to your website, and you're going to get nobody to subscribe to your email list. And you're going to be like, shit, this worked for Greg and it doesn't work for me, blah, 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 this model is terrible. Then you're going to change a couple tiny things about your lead magnet, and all of a sudden your emails are going to start flooding in, but none of them are going to be buying your stuff. And you're going to go, shit, I have to figure out a way to get these people to buy my stuff. And then the next step, you'll maybe improve your product page or improve the imagery or the process for people online. I obviously can't address everybody's business on here, and eventually people will start converting. And then your job will just be to iterate and get them to convert faster and faster and faster and faster. So yes, loads of iteration. You're going to be terrible in the beginning. I was terrible. Every single new business I've launched, we started off terrible. Just get the website live, get a lead magnet up, get a traffic source flowing, and then improve it week after week, month after month. And then you're going to blink and 5 years have gone by and you'll have a $100 million business.
All right, Carolyn, you're next.
Hi, thanks, Greg. First of all, thank you. I definitely got some takeaways in the back of my mind. I have actually some kind of tactical questions. So we're using a lot of the same tools that you are. We're using Sem Rush. We're using MailChimp and etc. So one of the things I've been thinking about doing is taking some of our keywords, looking at the long tail keywords, and then creating a page on our website for each long tail keyword. So for example, remote work, like if I punch that into Sem Rush, it comes up with what your remote control, why doesn't it work? It's just completely the wrong, the wrong use of the word, right? But, but there are just, there are a few that work. And my thinking was, why not have a web page to funnel the traffic for each keyword that comes out of Sem Rush to really figure out which ones are working and not. But it's a lot of work to build all those pages. And I'm just wondering, have you guys tried anything like that? Have you learned
We have,
something?
if you want, so it's a great question. SEO is one of the most confounding things ever, and until it really starts working, and then you're like, this is the greatest thing of all time. It's free traffic forever. So it's a great question. There's two pieces to it. One, I would make sure that the long tail keywords are actually high enough traffic volume to be meaningful. So if you look at them in SEM Rush, we tend to target what we call the chunky middle, which are ones that are, 5,000 keywords or, 5,000 searches a month to 100,000 searches a month. And then as you get bigger, you can target 250,000, 500,000, a million, et cetera, because you're building more domain authority. Your website ranks higher because you're a higher ranking domain.
Yeah.
The thing, I don't know the specific keywords you would be targeting, but I would search, our director of content really did a good job of moving us from, we had these big mega articles that had, they were like 35,000 words, like a 50-minute read, et cetera. And we were like, oh, we'll just have the best article possible on this keyword on the internet, no matter what. Let's say it's the paleo diet. We would be like, we're going to have the #1 paleo diet article. And what we actually found, which I was wrong on this, she proved me wrong on it. So I gave her a whole bunch of kudos around that. she broke it up into a cluster of topic articles that addressed the various different areas around a paleo diet. And what that did, it's called the cluster strategy. It's actually very popular in SEO now, if you guys want to write it down. What that did was it sends the signals to Google that we're an authority on every area in paleo. So our article on paleo diet is actually higher rank or higher value because we are such an authority on paleo. The other risk, just to caution you on, is if you do too many long tail keywords that are too similar, your articles will actually compete with each other in the eyes of Google. Yeah, I know, it totally sucks. But what you want to do is just good old fashioned mind map out a topic where you have, you know, paleo diet, then you have, you know, meal prep for the paleo diet, calculating your macros, using paleo, you know, paleo diet for beginners, you know, all these various different articles that support it. And there's quite a bit of information out there on the cluster strategy that you can pick up. But, you know, ultimately, it sounds like you're at the point where you're starting to iterate on your different inbound marketing channels. And I would suggest checking out the cluster strategy and really mind mapping out what those topics are, and then executing against one major topic cluster at a time. Once you win that topic cluster, then that will be generating a lot of traffic and you can move on to the next topic cluster.
Okay, so just to make sure I understood what you said, instead of trying to like write an article that includes a separate article that points to separate web pages all based on those long tail keywords, pick one and then build out a mind map around that one topic. So you get this cluster effect of being like the authority on that topic. Is that
correct?
What you said?
Yes. No, you reiterated it perfectly. And this is a pretty detailed topic that we could probably talk for, you know, hours and hours on. So in the follow-up email that's StartupSac sends out, I'll include some additional resources to like dive deeper into this topic that you guys can use to go like 3 or 4 levels deep on this, because it is important to do it right. Otherwise, you'll do what I did, which is spending years spinning your wheels going, why the hell don't I rank first page on Google? And then when you figure it out, all of a sudden you're ranking like top of page 1 and you're like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing since, you know, sliced bread. So
thank you, Greg.
So great question. And yes, we will send out a follow-up on that.
Our next question's from Hasib. Let me unmute you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
I unmuted you. Ask a question.
Yeah, thank you, Greg, for the presentation. Anyways, I'm based in Sacramento. We do like $30,000-$40,000 per month in ARR, adding additional ARR. We don't run any paid ads on anything, right? Actually, we don't run any SEO too, so it's all organic. But what, because people on Twitter go and they talk about us, so that's how we get traffic. But I'm wondering about if you have tested text messaging, that people get a text message rather than email, because email is it's very busy, so they get a text message. It's working out. And second thing, affiliate and influencer marketing.
So that was 4 different topics there. So I'll try and knock them out real quick for you. Yes, we're just now getting into texting, but we're largely only going to use it for tracking numbers, mainly because it almost feels like an invasive way to communicate with people. It feels more like I didn't sign up for this type thing. If you can get people to opt in, giving you their phone number and asking for text messaging, you know, that is a possibility. We're using a software platform called Urban Airship, which is arguably the biggest one out there, and it can do push notifications for apps, text messages, email automations, a whole bunch of other stuff. Influencer marketing is something I've talked about in previous StartupSac things. I think it is a critical piece of the puzzle long term, but for most people, I would really ramp up the business before you start engaging with influencers. So overall, you're going to have what's called a marketing mix, which are going to be a lot of different channels of people reaching you. And in the beginning, it sounds like you've got a lot of word of mouth going, which is great. I would argue you're probably leaving an immense amount of money on the table by not doing paid advertising, largely for the reason I didn't do paid advertising in the beginning, because I was scared I was going to put a bunch of money into Facebook and it was going to be a giant money pit and I was never going to get anything out of it. So I would recommend taking some of those amazing testimonials you're getting from people that love you and are talking about what type of business is it?
So we sell security cell phone services.
Got it. Okay. So, people that are talking about how amazingly you've set up the security for their cell phone service, et cetera.
Yeah.
And then advertise that on, maybe Google ads, maybe Facebook ads, test different platforms. I'm not sure which one's going to be the best for you, for your particular business, but you're probably getting a lot of organic inbound traffic. And the cheapest way to start with ads, now that you already have organic traffic, you're like 2 steps ahead of the game, is what's called retargeting. So you're able to take people that came to your website and had a lot of interest, but they just didn't raise their hand enough to buy. And you're able to go back and show them ads on Facebook, Instagram, Google, etc. Those are the cheapest possible type of ads, because you're already telling Facebook that these people are interested in my service, and so Facebook is much more likely to actually get them to convert on your website. So that's piece number 2 of it. So I would highly recommend starting to do some advertising on the influencer marketing side. I'll share a link in the email that we send out after this of you can probably Google it. But I did a whole talk with Mark Haney, 1.5 hour long podcast on influencer marketing. So I don't want to, get too deep into the weeds with it here. But the main thing to focus on there is get 1 or 2 early stage influencers on board and make sure they're channel aligned with your business. So I'll give you guys an example. I sell health food. My food is very specifically designed to give you a 6-pack. We want to get you in the best shape of your life. And there are people in the food ecosystem that have actually been pitched to me that probably don't make sense for us. And I'll give you an example. One of the ones was Guy Ferrari. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with him. He has a TV show, Diners, Dives and Drives, or whatever it is. But Guy is ultimately very good at selling double cheeseburgers and, giant chili cheese fries and a whole bunch of delicious, amazing stuff. But it's not health food. People don't go to Guy as a subject matter expert on health food. They go to people like, we work with a good buddy of mine who's local here, Uriah Faber. They go to Uriah because he has to do weight cuts for his job. Nobody on this call has to hit a certain weight by a certain time. Otherwise, they don't make $500,000, for their job. Uriah literally has to do that. So he's a subject matter expert in cutting weight because he literally has to do it for his job. So if you are going to find an influencer, make sure it's not just a famous person or even a famous person that's in your segment. Make sure it's a influencer that's a subject matter expert in your particular after state that you're selling as a business. For you, it would be somebody who's known as a security expert, and it may not necessarily be a person. It could be a blog that's very popular when it comes to cell phone security, or maybe the cell phone security section of TechCrunch or something like that you could partner with. So influencers don't have to be celebrities or stuff like that. It can also be, other people that are, or other channels like blogs or email lists or other things that have a lot of eyeballs. All you're looking for is inexpensive eyeballs when you're searching for influencers.
Hey, Greg.
So hopefully that's answered a couple questions. We got the next one, Laura?
Right. Yeah, we have 3 more questions lined up. We are running a little late, so we wanted to make sure see if that was okay with you, or if you have a hard stop.
No, that's fine with me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So go ahead, Paul.
So, hey, thanks for this, Greg. I love how practical this is. I mean, it's interesting to hear about how you tortured over your first employee hire, but I think this is even more interesting and more practical, so I really appreciate it. So you may have answered my question a little bit with Carolyn Peer, but I guess I wanted to see what your take on taking a step back and looking at articles on on your blog site, on your website, and social media. I know you guys believe in it because I'm looking at your website and you have articles. I read an article about a guy who had, maybe he was the only employee or one employee, and he committed to writing an article a day or something for 8 months, and he didn't get his first lead from Google until 8 months. And I mean, how much is too much or too little, or what do you think about articles?
It's a great question. I would say quality outweighs quantity 10 out of 10 times. So that was our original strategy. I was like, I'll just hire people. We're making enough money from the other stuff. I'll just hire people to just write articles and articles and articles until eventually we rank well on Google. And if you remember looking back at my Sem Rush slide I had up, we went for a long time. I mean, we launched the business back here in early 2015. And we went for years completely sucking, is really what it comes down to. And then we really started to write keyword focused articles that were on keywords that were really relevant to the business. And we made really high quality articles. The website loaded very fast. It had a good design. A lot of the Google isn't just looking at the keyword. They're looking at a lot of different factors. Is the website pretty? Does it load fast? Does it have other articles on this subject, with the cluster strategy we just talked about? So the good news is Google is trying to optimize for humans. So what would be enjoyable for you, like good design and fast load times and stuff like that, is probably the things Google is optimizing for. So I would recommend a couple books for the people that want to go hard on the content side. One is a book called Utility, like Y-O-U-Tility. The other is the other is a book called Contagious, which talks about how things go viral on the internet. And I think those are both excellent places to start. But above and beyond books, it's really going to be coming to somewhere like Digital Marketer. They've got a whole section that really talks about, in their blog, that talks about search engine optimization.
How often do you think you guys add an article if you had to just take a shot?
Well, I luckily have my marketing director listening in on this call. Tessa, how often do we add an article?
We've been able to ramp up, fortunately, over the past couple of months to about 1 blog post per day, but it's been a long road. For a while we were at, if we were lucky, one per week, 3 per month. So I don't expect anyone to start at 1 blog post per day, but we have some staff that helps out with that. Starting with even just the consistency is actually kind of more important than the number that you're actually putting out.
Great. Absolutely. And to build upon that, thank you, Tessa. To build upon that, making sure that when you are writing these blog posts, what you guys know what I'm going to come back to, there's some sort of lead magnet or content upgrade on the blog post to get people's emails. Otherwise, why are you writing the blog post in the first place? So you want to be able to capture the people's emails. Then when you release a new blog post, you can email that out to everybody, and a bunch of them come and look at your blog post and give the right trust signals to Google, and maybe share them with their friends, this, that, and the other, and you start building up traffic. So I think quality over quantity is definitely the most important thing. Building out a mind map of the cluster strategy you're going to target for your industry, and then making sure your website is at least up to par, where it loads quickly, it has like a reasonably good design, etc., and you will be able to rapidly scale your SEO. But Facebook ads are like Tessa makes fun of me because I use this as the analogy. Facebook ads are like cocaine. You know, you get a great rush right away from doing it, but you cannot sustain that for the long term. You know, Google is much more like eating your fruits and vegetables. It doesn't do a lot for you right away, but you have to have it if you're going to make it make it a long distance. So as you get bigger and bigger, you know, once you start spending 10,000 a day plus on Facebook, it starts to get difficult to spend profitably on Facebook. Suddenly you're reaching millions of people and you're saturating audiences, you know, because Facebook's showing so many millions of ads for you. So that, you know, Facebook is really short term. You know, Google is more long term, but I would try and do both of them in tandem so that when you start getting to the challenging phases of Facebook, you've layered in the foundation of Google into your business. But great question.
Okay, next question from Leslie.
Hi there. Thank you so much for sharing all this information. It's just fabulous. Even though I'm a seasoned marketing and salesperson in traditional marketing, I am woefully uninformed in the area of digital marketing. So I'm learning a lot, and I'm listening in regard to my new business, which is in the climate change reversal area. And I have a question. If I have more pages with on a website and I'm doing SEO for each page and I'm doing SEO for each photo, does it benefit me to have more pages to the website to do that? Will that boost my my search? And then the other question is, I have a former company that has a similar name that I'm not using anymore. I put it out of business. And so that one, unfortunately, is still ranked high on Google. So what I'm trying to do is get it where that goes down so people don't think I'm still in the solar business. So that's a two-part question.
Do you still control the other website?
I put it out. I just put it down.
You took it down? I would take it back up and take all those articles and do 301 redirects to the identical article on your website. One of the reasons that other website ranks highly is because other pages rank to it, or other pages link to it. So that's, I'll just go ahead and pull it up here to give you guys the quick explanation of how PageRank works. So this is still, to this day, one of the most important concepts in SEO. So your website was, let's say, page E right here, and you're like one of these 1.6s out here. The reason B is so big in this case is because a lot of other authority websites, especially C over here, are linking to it. So if you take all that traffic you were getting to your other website from other websites that are linked to it and just throw it away, it's like wasting an asset. You're just throwing money away. You might as well create what are called 301 redirects, which are when someone goes to that page on your old website, they automatically get redirected to your new one. And Google will eventually just connect the dots there and make the new one rank higher on the actual Google search.
So if I have the same provider, Vistaprint, did both of the sites, and I tried calling MapQuest and Yelp and, get me, off so that it doesn't boost my old business's website up. And they said, no, it's just Google, you have to, we're not in charge of them. And so if I did what you're saying, could I just say to Vistaprint, can you do a 301 redirect from the old site to the new site?
Which it's not for the whole site. So let's say you have an article of, how to feed your cat. I'm just going to use a very straightforward example. You want to take all that content from your old website and move it to your new website with an exact same article of how to feed your cat. And then on the old website, you're going to do what's called a 301 redirect, which is just a little script in the code that when someone lands on the old page, it automatically sends them to the new page. So Vistaprint should be able to walk you through that process. There's also loads of YouTube videos, you know, showing you how to do it step by step. But yes, I would say, you know, getting a piece of software like the industry leader is this one I'm looking at right now, which is Sem Rush. Really kind of going through the help section, understanding how to do keyword research, etc. And then building out kind of your target keywords that you're after is going to be, you know, the absolutely critical next step. Because the biggest difficulty people have with SEO is it's so nebulous. You know, you're like, okay, what am I supposed to be writing about that will get Google to like me? And it's really about coming up with the right keywords for your business. Like what keywords are actually people gonna search for and want to find me, which for me, it's stuff like how to lose weight fast. If you want to lose weight fast, I'm the guy to talk to. So that's a great search phrase for us to try and rank for. But I want to send them to an article that teaches them how to lose weight fast. And then as they get through the article and I explain to them, oh, you have to cook all this chicken and broccoli and blah, 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 it's going to be a whole bunch of work. At the end, I can say, hey, instead of doing that work, you can just pay me and I'll do all the work for you. And they're like, oh, thank God. So that's like the thought process you want your customers to go through is really, you know, going, okay, what are they going to be searching for? And that they're going to be thrilled that they find me, and then reverse engineering those keywords so that you're saying, okay, they searched for this keyword phrase. How can I write an article that addresses that question that they were asking? So yeah, it starts with the research. The research is usually the piece that most people leave out. They just start writing blog posts and they're writing and writing and writing and writing. And they're like, they eventually like throw up their arms because they're like, why am I not ranking on Google? And it's because Google doesn't know that you're trying to rank. You have to like create the article in a very specific way in order for Google to like it and know that you're trying to rank for that specific thing.
Okay, and then the page photo issue, does it benefit me to have more pages to my website?
I mean, with caveats, if those pages are all on different topics and they're all part of like a topic cluster. So if you're doing, you know, it sounds like you're focused on climate change. If you're focused on climate change, talk about whatever particular area in climate change, you're a subject matter expert, you know, where you're going to be able to give the most value, build a topic cluster around that particular area. You know, maybe it's how to, you know, build a compost bin or put solar panels on your roof or, you know, whatever it is, and walk through all the different questions. You know, just write down a list, all the questions people might ask that you, Leslie, are able to answer around that particular topic, and then write articles for each one of those topics.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
No problem.
Our final question is from Orohi.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Greg. This has been a great session. So I have to give a disclaimer that I did have to step out for a couple of minutes, so I hope this hasn't been asked before, but I think we have spoken a lot about original content, and my question is more in regards to borrowed content, or because when you start out, you may not have a team or of experts which is able to generate and write all the blogs. So is there a good strategy to point to other websites and other material that is out there on your website, and how to best use it to bring traffic to your own website, whether it's through email campaigns, and how to be fair to the source? Like, you'll obviously put the source and the links there, but what is the right thing to do there, and how long can that strategy last?
So no, it has not been asked, and it's a great question that I think a lot of people do get stuck on as well. It's kind of a two-part question. So one is that you know, some people call it link sharing, or, you know, you're connecting with other websites, etc. It's a very difficult strategy to do with a lot of partners. So I would suggest, what's your business?
It's a lending marketplace.
A lending marketplace? Okay. So I would I would go to people like that are like subject matter experts on, is it business lending or individual lending?
Individual lending, but through businesses. So B2B selling into personal lending.
Got it. So you're selling loans to businesses who sell loans to people.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So really your customer is probably the businesses. And I would target the easy low hanging fruit for you is going to be blogs that talk a lot about lending. And you can, it doesn't necessarily have to be lending. It can be personal finance. It can be the points guy. Anybody who's anybody whose website people are looking at when they're trying to get their financing in order, that is going to be the type of website that you want to list on. I would say overall, those type of strategies tend to be more difficult long-term. You're probably going to get a lot more bang for your buck, like coming up with a keyword cluster strategy and writing articles yourself. I will say a lot of businesses are B2B2C like you are. And I'll just use a funny example because it's an easy one that I use for this all the time. I have a buddy who runs a very large business, over $100 million a year. And he is a cannabis wholesaler, which is, now legal in California. I think almost everybody here is in California. And he had sold a previous cannabis equipment company to Scott's Miracle Grow. He was on the board of publicly traded company. I mean, this was like major business. But he doesn't sell to individuals. All he sold to was cannabis clubs. So we were talking about digital marketing, and he was like, well, Greg, I get that you're the best at this. It seems like a great model, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm trying to sell to these business owners, so I'm much better hiring sales reps and having them go out and sell for me. And what I told him was, and we've had the same effect at Trifecta, business owners are people too. They're looking at the same Facebook ads, the same blog posts, the same influencers that everybody else is. Everybody on this call is a business owner. We're all people. We all go on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Google. So I would target who your end user is and start creating content to support them. The example I gave him is if he wants to reach all the cannabis club owners, why doesn't he hire Snoop Dogg? I know he could get Snoop Dogg for really cheap. He obviously is very famous for smoking a whole bunch of weed. And I guarantee every cannabis club owner in California follows Snoop Dogg on Instagram. Every one of them, 100% chance. So if he were to get Snoop Dogg to promote, his particular brand of cannabis, all of a sudden every cannabis club owner in California would be calling his sales reps going, God, I need the stuff that Snoop Dogg is smoking in my shop so that my customers can buy it. So if you're out there adding lending value to end users, educating them on, these personal loans type thing, that's going to lead businesses to you. For us, it happened the same way with gym owners. We didn't have a program to, we didn't have any salespeople in-house to reach out to gym owners and get them to carry our meals in their gyms. But gym owners followed all of our same celebrity athletes on the internet. So they went out and called us. So imagine being a business where you don't even have to call your B2B customers. They come to you, and now we have everybody from 24 Hour Fitness on down. So ultimately, I would think of your B2B customers as individuals first, as human beings, and write content that is going to be valuable to their target audience, and they'll ultimately come to you. And then in terms of linking out to people, which was the other part of your question, I would make sure that you're going to websites. This is where a little salesmanship comes in. You're going to these blogs, and you're going to need to sell them on them linking back to you. So maybe it's you writing an article for them about lending and, how there's a bunch of different platforms out there available. Maybe it's setting up an affiliate program, which I think somebody mentioned, where every click that they send to you where the person buys, they get a commission, and they're a big commission-only salesperson. There's a lot of different like strategies out there, but I would focus on like a couple major traffic sources, which in your industry are probably finance blogs.
Yep.
And then from there, you know, those people will, you know, ultimately find their way back to you. You can convert those leads and then have your salespeople pick up the phone and call those business owners and say, hey, saw you were on our website for 30 minutes and you've opened 8 of our emails. Are you interested in being a customer?
Got it. Well, that was very helpful. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg.